Right, so today you're going to look at how you can write linear functions from tables. So three things: student will know the formula for linear functions, which you should have learned last year. Students will understand how to use tables to determine the formula for a linear function, and students will be able to write down to analyze numbers, write how to analyze numbers on a table to determine its formula. All right. So, of course, linear functions are something that you learned about last year and probably even in the 8th grade. Normally, they use the letter y equals, and then they give you the linear function. You're going to see more of f of x. They could use any letter like g of x and h of x, but that they both represent the same thing. F of x and y represent the same thing when it comes to linear functions. All right. The three ways that you should be familiar with linear functions are by table, by the equation, which is the standard form, or the slope-intercept form, and even by graphs. Okay, so what we're going to be able to do is look at a table and determine what is the formula for it, especially if it's a linear function. Okay, so the domain should normally have a common difference of 1. However, they could have a different number like 2, 3, or 4, or whatever. And the range should also have a common difference. Okay, so if you look at the following table, does the domain have a common difference? And if you look, you will see that it does. All right, what about the range? Does the range have a common difference? Well, let's see. From -1 to 2, it goes up by 3. How do you know that? Take 2, subtract 1, you'll get 3. Take 5, subtract 2, you get 3. Take 8, subtract 2, you get 3. All right. So common difference on the domain and common difference on the range. Now, once we know what the differences are, then we can actually use those differences to make the slope. Not make the slope, but just write it down. The slope is always rise over run. So in this case, the rise is the y and the run is the x. So we take the rise and we put that on the top, and we take the run, put that on the bottom. So the slope is 3 over 1, but that is normally just 3. Now the y-intercept, we can see that wherever the x is 0 is the y-intercept. Okay, so in this case, we're lucky that it's right here on the graph, and the y-intercept will be the number in the range column. So whatever number is under the y next to the 0, that is going to be your y-intercept. So the y-intercept is -1. So once we know the slope and we know the y-intercept, we can just put that into the slope-intercept form, which is the y is equal to mx plus b, and that gives us this formula for this problem, which is y is equal to 3x plus a -1. Now that can also be written as y is equal to 3x minus 1, and that's how it go down. All right, so it is not very difficult. You should be able to do it, but of course, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. So let's see if we can go to probably another example, and then you'll try this out yourself.